Hello and welcome back to my craft room. Well, it's the 10th of June as I'm recording this. We're heading for midsummer here in the UK. It's still blowing a gale outside. Temperature's quite chilly. It's raining. Yuck. It's really not June. I feel sorry for all the June brides. Well, I'm going to do a bit of crochet today. A bit of cosy crochet in my craft room on a rainy day. Perfect. I'll be all ready for the autumn now, won't I? I'll tell you what, if you looked out there and you didn't know it was the middle of summer, you would guess it was like October or November. It's very strange this year. We've had some sweet little baby hedgehogs in the garden. We were a bit worried, so we phoned a local rescue centre, and the lady there was lovely, very helpful. We've been feeding them and watching out for them. But she says the hedgehogs have been very busy and the breeding has been a bit... The times have all been a bit strange this year, and largely due to the strange weather. The seasons have gone a bit awry. Anyway, beside the point. Let's get into some crochet. I'm going to be using some yarn that was sent to me ages ago. I'm embarrassed about how long I've had it and not shown them off yet. Based in mainland China. They asked me if I'd like to choose some items from their range to show to my viewers. So I said yes please, I'll try some of this wool. I'll show you the wool in a second and quickly show you the websites for a couple of seconds just to see how much it is and everything, and I'll put a link in the description box. Quickly do that now before I forget. So here we go. Here's the Paint Some Way website. Here's the wool that I ordered. Now what was this called? Grey green coffee. It doesn't sound very exciting, but it's quite pretty in real life. Now it says cotton yarn there, and at the moment this is my only criticism because it's not cotton, it's acrylic. On the band it says, I'll show you in a second, it's quite confusing. It's lovely, but it's not cotton. So if you were to order any of this, it's not cotton. But it is lovely. So it's £2.34 for a 50 gram ball, which seems very reasonable. As I say, I will leave, there's lots of other colour choices as well. One thing that's a bit confusing is that you normally get some information on the band that tells you what weight of wool it is and what size hooks and needles to use, and this hasn't got the information on the band. Here it says crochet for 10 to 11 knitting needles, also not terribly helpful. Spinning process worsted. Now we don't really use worsted here as a term in the UK. I think it's kind of somewhere between double knitting and Aran weight. Having said that, I'm not convinced. So let me show you what I mean. Here we go. So just quickly show you some of the other colours. Very pretty. Very pretty, and the quality seems really nice. There's lots of other things here as well. I think largely they're about cross-stitch kits and diamond painting, which I've already got a couple of cross-stitch kits I haven't had time to do, and I'm not really into diamond painting. But there are other things. If you go to more links and go into knitting, there are quite a lot of things there that I found quite appealing. Yeah, nice little packs of wool and kits and stuff like that. Little accessories. There's mending loom. I've got a mending loom like that. They're fun. Yeah, so lots of things there, but I'm not really into the diamond painting. And the cross stitch kits are lovely. I have had a couple of cross stitch kits before from companies like this, and they're great. They're really good value for all the thread that you get. But yeah, I've already got enough of that to be going on with. So here's the wool. I've got 7 balls of it, 7 50 gram balls. Now you can see here what I mean. This is how it comes. I left one in a bag to show you. I know the plastic's a bit annoying. I will try to reuse those for storing fabrics and things, but I guess coming all the way from China, they do need to be stored in a way that's going to protect them. So I can use these for storing small scraps of fabric and things like that. So we've got here already a bit of contradiction on the label. Milk cotton, 100% soft acrylic. I think milk cotton is just kind of an indication of it's not cotton. I think the acrylic is what it is. That's what it feels like. It does have a lovely feel to it. It's really nice and soft. Looking at it, I'm thinking that looks like double knitting to me. If worsted is kind of like our Aran, I don't think it's as heavyweight as that. I'm going to treat this as double knitting. I'm going to start normally for double knitting. I think you'd use a 4mm hook. I tend to use a slightly smaller one because my tension with crochet is quite loose. So I'm going to go for a 3.5mm hook and see how I get on. And what I've decided to do is a project. I thought I'll pick a project that the size isn't crucial. So I'll do like a scarf or a hat or something that you kind of measure as you go along and make it to fit. So that's what I'm going to do. Now on the band, usually on the band, you'll know if you're a regular knitter or crocheter. Normally you'll get some information on the band that tells you double knitting, Aran, 4-ply or whatever. There's nothing here that says that. So that is a criticism, if I'm being honest, and I'm not going to do these product reviews without being, if I can't be honest. I can honestly say I think £2.34 for a ball is a good price, and it feels lovely quality. I love the colour and everything. The order arrived, once I told them what I wanted, it arrived with me within 10 days. Didn't have to wait too long. But yeah, there's no indication there. You've got washing instructions, but no indication there of what weight of yarn it is or what size hooks or needles you should be using. So I'm going to guess double knitting and see how I get on, but I'm going to choose a project that it's not crucial. If it's a bit wrong, it really won't matter. I'm going to follow a tutorial by a lady that is new to me, a channel that's new to me. Hang on a second, I'll just check what it's called. Diving Ducks Crochet. I'll leave a link to her as well. There's some lovely projects on there, and she explains things really nice and clearly. It's all explained quite slowly. I sort of sped it up to watch it because I've got quite a bit of experience with crochet, so I didn't need the really basic explanation. But if I wanted that, it would have been there, and it's time stamped as well, so it's easier to find the bits that you want. So I'm going to do her arrow headband because I just thought it looked really fun. Let's just give you a quick peek at what I'm aiming at. I love the look. I think these headbands are rather than sometimes you don't want a whole hat on, you just want something to keep your ears warm and your forehead warm to go with the scarf. So I thought this would be a good one. This will be quite quick. I'm sure I can do this. I'm going to challenge myself to see if I can do this in an hour. I've never tried. She's doing the double crochet into the back loop only stitch, which I use a lot. It gives you kind of a stretchy rib. But I've never seen it done in that kind of arrowhead format before, so I'm going to try that just by way of a change. And the great thing is it's not going to be crucial what width that comes out. She actually says 4-weight yarn. Now 4-weight yarn means nothing to me, so but it looks to me like she's using around a double knitting weight. So I'm just going to play this by ear. If the width doesn't come out quite what she's got there, it's not going to matter, and I'm going to test the length around my own head as I go. And if these work out well, then I have found a local place that always wants hats and scarves and gloves and things in the winter that I can donate to, so win-win. So I'm not going to show a massive amount of this because I'll link to that lady's tutorial, but I just thought, well, I'll just quickly show you how I'm getting on, show you what I think of the wool, give you a good look at it. I think you can see, hang on, it's quite a nice texture to crochet with. I think it feels lovely. It's going to feel lovely on against your skin. Yeah, really nice. Love the colour, and I'm interested to see how the variegation crochets up. So I thought if I work with it for a little bit, I can let you know how I get on with it, and I'll just show you a couple of clips and the finished thing, and I'll link to the tutorial in case you want to have a go at this. I stopped and had a little bit of a practice, and I've decided actually it is better with a 4mm hook. So maybe this is worsted weight then. It would be helpful if it said so on the band. I'll just say that. Sometimes there's some Chinese writing on things that I don't understand, but in this case it's not that. All the writing is actually in English, so yeah. I don't suppose there's... Oh, look, I've just noticed there's a bit there that's covered up with tape. I wonder... Well, that'd be funny, wouldn't it, if it's been there all along? No. Nothing on the inside either. I got excited then for a minute. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to go with a 4mm hook. The tutorial tells you to chain 26 and then do a row of what I call double crochet, UK double crochet, US terms single crochet. I've started to get into the habit of, instead of doing a foundation chain like that, I'm doing a chainless foundation these days, and there are lots of tutorials about that, so if you want to get better demonstration of how to do this, I would say go and look up a tutorial. But essentially, instead of doing a whole row of chain and then doing your single crochet or double crochet into them, you make 2 chain to start with, So this is if you're doing US double crochet, UK single crochet. And then you go back into that first chain. So I want to pick up the front and back loops. And then you pull the yarn through, yarn around the hook again, pull it through one loop, yarn around the hook again, pull it through both. And then you go back into that stitch you've just made. So this one here. So I'm going to go back into there. I'm going to pick up the front and back loops, pull the yarn through, yarn around the hook again, pull it through one loop, yarn around the hook again, pull it through two. So you're kind of making your chain, your foundation chain, and your first row of double crochet or single crochet all in one go. So I do that once more. So and you do that until you've got the required number of stitches on the hook. And what that does is give you a more, I think it gives a neater edge and a more elastic edge. Sometimes if you start with a foundation chain, it can get a bit tight on that first row. So I'm going to go through and crochet 26 of these and then I'll be back. There we go. So I've done that that foundation row, and you can see it does give it, it's a nice neat edge. Sometimes it can just get a bit wobbly with doing the chain first, and that gives you a nice neat edge, and it's got a good stretch to it. So yeah, I prefer doing it this way. I just find it less annoying than fiddling about with a little chain. It doesn't always work for all patterns, but next row. So I've got a chain one and then turn, and I'm going to be working into just the back loop of each stitch now from now on, and that gives like a faux kind of rib effect. Well, not faux rib, it is a ribbed effect. It gives you a stretch and you get these lines, and it runs, but the lines run that way. The lines don't run that way like with knitted rib, they run that way. So I've done this kind of back loop single crochet or double crochet rib lots of times before, but I've never tried this herringbone effect. So to get this, we do 12 stitches, then we skip 2 in the middle, then we do the next 12. So let's have a go at that. You've got the 2 loops at the top of the stitch, you're just going in that back one there. Yarn around the hook, pull it through, yarn around the hook, pull it through both loops on the hook, and that's your double crochet. Your double crochet in UK terms, single crochet in US terms. So I've done 3, so that's my 12, so you can see you're already getting that a kind of a bump there, and it's like a valley on that side, mountain on that side, valley on that side, and you keep doing that on every row, always into the back loop, and you get this sort of ribbed effect. In this case, I've now come to the point where I'm going to skip 2 stitches. I'm not going to go in that one or that one, I'm going in this one. And it seems like all the way through the pattern you're skipping these 2 stitches, but you're increasing 2 stitches on each end as well. Oh, 1 on each end. So I guess you keep the same number of stitches, but it makes it come up into this V shape. So I'm not going to work all the way through the pattern. I will link to the tutorial for that. It's not my tutorial to share. I just want to give you an idea of how this looks, how the variegated effect works out. It looks quite pretty at the moment, and also how it feels to work with. Definitely it is feeling like at least a double knitting, so I think maybe worsted is what it is. I've never used worsted before, so I don't know. Certainly with a 4mm hook it is feeling about right, and normally I'd end up using a 3.5mm hook because my tension is loose, so I feel like it is a slightly chunkier than double knitting. I didn't think so when I first looked at it, so yeah. As I say, that's why I picked something where the size isn't going to be crucial, because now I will keep on knitting, crocheting this V shape until it's long enough to wrap around my head and then stop. So you work out a size as you go along, and the width is looking like it's going to be about right. I'm going to keep doing a bit more of this and then come back and show you perhaps part way through, and And then at the end, so you can see what it looks like, I'll link to the tutorial. I'm going to time myself to see how long this takes as well. Well, I've been going for just over an hour, and this is how far I've got. So it's obviously it's going to take me a bit longer than I thought. Now I've got the hang of it, I have speeded up. It's really, really simple. I'm not even having to count the stitches anymore, because you can see when you're coming to the bit where you're going to skip 2 stitches, and you know that you're going to increase a stitch on either end of each row. So it's really simple. I'm really quite enjoying it. It's got a nice, I like that it's got a nice stretch to it, the same as the straight rib would have, and it's just a more interesting pattern. I love the way this yarn is knitting up, I was going to say crocheting up. The variegation is really pretty, and so far I would say I'm not even quite halfway through the balls, so I think one of these balls is going to do the headband, which means I've got enough to make a pair of gloves to go with, or a scarf. So yeah, it's really nice. Really happy with that, and I've got quite a few odd balls, so I could knock out a few of these headbands and take a bundle to that charity that wants the warm winter clothing for homeless people and such like. And yeah, it's nice to find something useful to do with all your odds and ends, isn't it? And I think I like this kind of a pattern where it's just enough to keep it interesting, but you haven't got to think too hard. You know, I'm sitting here watching videos and stuff while I do it, so you know, I've not got to concentrate too hard, but it's enough to keep me interested. Yeah, it's a nice pattern. I've never seen it before, so I will definitely link to that. Anyway, I just came back to show you how it's knitting up. It's been really nice to work with. I would say this 4mm hook is about right with it. I will be, next time I come back, this will be done. I've been sat here talking to myself for 5 minutes while I stitched this up, and now I've nearly finished stitching up. Just realised that I didn't actually push the button to start recording. So this took me about 2 hours in the end to do this piece. I've got that much left of the ball still, so I'm planning to make another scarf, to make a scarf as well to go with it, and possibly even a pair of gloves. I've got 7 balls to play with all together. And I was just explaining about how I've joined the Norfolk Knitters, and because I live in Norfolk, Knitters and Stitchers, and they're a charity that support lots of different charities. All the members all make different knitted, crocheted and stitched items for charities. You can go on the website and find a list of local charities and what knitted and crocheted and stitched items they're looking for at the moment, and they pride themselves in saying that whatever their members make, they will find a home for it, they will find a good use for it, which is really nice. You can meet up in person. They have, like, you know, in-person kind of sessions where you can go and have a cup of tea and a natter and stuff. I probably won't do that, I haven't really got the time, but I mean, if I didn't have my amazing online community, I would really value something like that. What else was I whittering on about to myself? I love the way that joins together. You can't even now see. Yes, you can see where the join is. I think it's there. No, I'm not even sure. No, I've lost it. Is it there? That's brilliant, isn't it? That's a really nice little pattern. I really like it. So that's my little headband ear warmer. Right, now I'm going to challenge myself to make a scarf to go with it in an hour, and I found the most amazing channel, which I really love. I don't know if I'm going to say it right. It's called Atreyu Crochet, and he's a lovely guy, explains things really, really clearly, really close up, lots and lots of beginner friendly tutorials, and he says he can make this scarf in an hour. And then he kind of, I think in the video he actually says an hour or two, so I'm going to give myself a couple of hours. I'm hoping I can get a scarf out of this other ball and the rest of this one that I started, that I used to make the headband ear warmer thingy. So I'm going to leave a link to Atreyu as well. I can't remember what wool he's using. I think it's something like it's a was a term I wasn't familiar with. He does this crossover stitch. It's a crossover double, he calls it. I would call it a treble in UK terms. And the wool that he's using, it might be this kind of what I'm assuming is worsted weight. It looks a bit heavier than the double knitting I would usually use. He says it calls for a 5mm hook, but he's actually using a 7. So I thought, well, seeing as I've been using a 4 for this, I'm going to use a 6. Obviously that's going to make it crochet up a bit kind of a looser, which for a scarf will be quite nice. It'll make it nice and soft and floppy, won't it? And because the stitch itself is crossed over, there's going to be plenty of thickness to it. So I'm quite excited to try this. And he says you can start with you can make it as wide as you want it. It just needs to be a multiple of 2 stitches. So yeah, I'm not going to sit and do all this or show you how to do it. I will link to his tutorial, and I would say definitely check out his channel, because there's loads of, whether you're like a seasoned crocheter or a complete beginner, I think you'll find loads of inspiring stuff on there. And I just find his way of explaining things really clear. It's quite refreshing. I'm going to start this scarf now, time myself, see if I can actually do it in an hour or 2. I'll let you know, and I'll come back. I'm going to take this downstairs this evening and do it, and I'll come back in the morning and show you the whole ensemble. Well, I managed to lose all of the audio on the last bit of this video, so I'm coming back again now to show you what I've done, so I can cobble this video together somehow. Let's go to the desk. So here is this was my finished scarf, and the headband you've already seen. It took me 3 balls, 3 50-gram balls altogether to do the 2, with leftovers, about this much left over. Scarf ended up about 1 metre long, wider than the one that Atreyu did. I love the way it was a really fun stitch to do. I love the look of it. The whole thing feels lovely and soft and sort of floppy, nice to wrap around, long enough to sort of cross over your chest or put around your head, which is what I tend to do. I'll model it in a minute. I also got, out of another 50-gram ball, I got this pair of fingerless gloves, which I just kind of made up as I went along. And I think what I'm going to do is, I've got plenty left. I might make another pair, film it, and if you're interested, let me know, and I'll show you how I made these. Really easy. If you're a seasoned crocheter, you'll be able to work this out. I just did the crochet rib going into the back stitch, same as I did with this. Just made it as wide as I thought. Measured it on my own hand. Stopped when I felt like it was comfortable enough. You know, it was a good length to go around my wrist. And then I turned my work and picked up a stitch all the way along. So I picked up one here, one here, one here, one here, one here, all the way along, and then went into the same stitch that Atreyu showed for the scarf. At this stage it's all still open. Then I wrapped it round, joined the 2 together, and did just normal double crochet, UK terms, single crochet American terms, and just went round and round. And then I picked up stitches around here. It's pretty easy. If you're a seasoned crocheter, you can probably, just the same as me, you can make this up. And there are probably already lots of tutorials kind of similar. But I'm very happy to do a tutorial if anybody's interested. They're really, because you're not doing fingers or anything, it's really quite straightforward. And for me, I like something to keep my hands warm in the winter, but I do like to be able to feel what I'm doing. And I'll even wear things like this in my craft room sometimes if I'm really cold. And if you're typing or sewing or whatever, you can still keep these on. So I'm going to, as I say, make another pair, and I'll record that separately. I don't want to get this video to get too long. So yeah, I'll have enough left to make a pair of gloves. I think I might do, just for fun, I might do some fringing or pom-poms on the scarf. I think that would be fun. And then I'll see how much I've got left over, whether I do another headband or another scarf. As far as the hooks were concerned, I've decided it probably is this mysterious to me worsted weight. Because it feels a little bit chunkier than normal double knitting, but certainly for the firmer texture that I wanted for the headband, the 4mm hook was perfect, and for the looser texture for the scarf, the 6mm worked out just right. So yeah, sorry I had to cobble that together a little bit at the end. as I say, if you're interested in a tutorial for the fingerless gloves, please just let me know in the comments, and I'll put a video together. I'll film it anyway, and then I'll see. I won't worry if there's not any interest in it. I won't worry. But yeah, it's a nice easy little pattern. It wouldn't be too long of a video to do. So I'm quite happy to do that if anybody's interested. So let me know. Shall I just do a quick model? Here's a headband. Oh. Well, it's an ear warmer really, because as far as I'm concerned, it's mainly an ear warmer. And then a scarf. There's not too much of it, but it is just long enough to wrap across your chest in the way if you're really cold in the winter, or double up around your neck, or what I often end up doing, I end up like this with my hood, then my waterproof hood up over the top as well, just to keep me really snugly. Very seasonal. Of course, now because I did the cock up with losing the audio, it's now several days since I first started recording this. It is now the 17th of June, but in fact it is still raining here. so yeah, here I am, all ready for June. So thank you very much for joining. It looks so silly, doesn't it? Summer top on, winter warmers. Thank you very much for joining me today. Sorry about the slightly cobbled together video, but I hope you enjoyed that and got something out of it. Thanks very much for joining me, and I'll see you again really soon. Bye.